Hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Amanda, and this is my little corner of YouTube where I get to talk about all things books, the books that I love, the books that I hate, the books that I'm reading, the books that I think you should be reading, and all the things in between. Today, we are going to be breaking down and talking about some of the most surprising books that I read in 2025. Let's get started on the most surprising books I read for 2025. So, the first category, or the first book that I want to talk about, is actually a series. And I had put off reading this series literally for a year or more because it was so hyped, it was so talked about. Book Talk, Instagram, everybody was talking about this series. Everybody was raving about this series. And you know how it goes. Everybody raves about it so much, and everybody has such high expectations that number one, you avoid it because your expectations are so high that you don't want to be disappointed. And number two, you have this feeling in your chest like, you can't tell me what to do. Like, this is such a hyped book, and everyone is telling me that I have to read it because it's so good. And I'm not going to read it because you told me to. And I'm going to be the rebel, and I'm going to be the one that says, "Oh well, I haven't read that series," and then see the shocked faces on everybody. And so this was such a hyped series that I was going to be the one, the lone reader in the corner that could say, "I've never picked it up. I've never read it. Don't know what you're talking about." So that was going to be me. I literally avoided this series like the plague. And last year, I decided to pick this series up. Number one, because it was available on Kindle Unlimited. Number two, because I knew that I was going on a camping trip. It was going to be a 10-day camping trip. And I wanted something, excuse me, I wanted something that I didn't have to think about what I was going to read next. I knew that I wanted a series of something so that I didn't have to think about what should I read, what should I do. I knew I was going to be on this camping trip. I knew I was going to have spotty internet, and I knew that it was going to be a lot of free downtime. My husband was going to be fishing, and I was going to be relaxing, just kind of having my own free time at the camper. And so I knew that I wanted something that was going to be easy to get, it was going to be free, and it was going to be just a no brainer, no thinking involved, something that I could just go, 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 go. So I decided to pick this series. So I picked up the first book before we left, which is Guild. Yes, I am talking about the Plated Prisoner series by Raven Kennedy. And I went into this with very, very low expectations because it was so hyped, because it was so talked about, and everyone's expectations were always so high that I had set the bar very low. And guys, I have never been so wrong, but I have never been so glad to be so wrong. This book, it grabbed me, and I was absolutely feral for these books once I started. So, Guild is the first book of the series. This is a King Midas retelling, but in a absolute twisty, imaginative, amazing way. There is exceptional world building in this. There is a magic system that is top notch, very creative, very imaginative. The characters in this, though, are where the magic happens. The characters are beautifully written, they are deep, they are they are lovable, yet we despise some of them. We are rooting for them. We even even the side characters, the characters that are not kind of the main focus of the books, that kind of have their own side plots going on, even those characters are built wonderfully. They have these wonderful emotions and these depths, and we get into their backstories, and we love them, and we're rooting for them, and we want to know what's happening in their particular side stories. Everything about this series was 100% amazing, and I loved every single book. I have never been so glad to be so wrong about a hyped up series. So, a couple of caveats for you to know about this series. Guild is the first one, and it is, I would say that this book in particular is probably the hardest. It's the first book. It's a little bit bleak. It's a little bit difficult to get into. There are trigger warnings throughout the whole series, of course, but the first book in particular has several themes and several things in it that you want to be careful. Make sure you're reading your trigger warnings. Make sure that you are understanding what you're getting into before you start this series. Make sure that you are understanding and taking care of yourself. But as long as you're understanding that, then understand that the first book is very bleak, and you are not going to like our female main character. You're going to think that the female main character is way too submissive. She's way too meek, and it is kind of hard to kind of push past that. But by the time you get into the next book, it takes off, and you are going to be, if you're anything like me, you are going to be absolutely drooling at the mouth for each chapter in each book. So the way that this played out, I told you I was on a camping trip. I was on like the fourth book by the time I ended this 10-day camping trip. I could not get enough of this story, and I read it so fast. I was so invested. I loved every single minute of it. I was cheering for our female main character. I was in love with our male main character. And luckily, by the time I had gotten back from our camping trip, the last book of the series, Goldfinch, had just been released. And so I was able to smoothly transition right into the last book of the series, and I was able to finish it, and it brought me immense joy. So, the Plated Prisoner series by Raven Kennedy absolutely lived up to its hype, and I can see why people were absolutely going bananas for this series. It was well worth the read, and I wish I would have read it sooner. Okay, the second book I am going to talk about is Don't Judge a Book by Its Cover. So I received a proof copy or an ARC copy of this book to read and review. And I received it, and I didn't know very much about it. I had never read this author before, but I looked at the cover, I looked at the title, and I kind of thought, okay, I know what this book is going to be about. And so went into it expecting this to be what the book would be, and was kind of pleasantly surprised and shocked, to be honest, that yes, it did have some of those elements in it, but it was about so much more than what I thought it was. I am talking about X Marks the Stalker by K.N. Wilder. So, just in the title itself, you go into this book thinking it's going to be your standard everyday dark romance, masked man, stalking. It's going to these are very popular tropes right now, and there are a lot of authors that are churning these books out. It's very popular on book talk, on social media, and there is a lot of hype around this trope. And so I could understand why this author, who is a new author, would be writing a book like this so that she could kind of reach into that demographic, reach into those, that group of readers, and, kind of insert herself and put a foothold into the reading community this way. Absolutely genius way to become an author and to get a foothold into the author space. So I started the book, and it did have those elements. So this is a story about a woman. She is a crime journalist. She goes to the crime scene of a murder that has taken place, a crime has taken place. And after the police are done with their scene, then she goes to the scene and she reports on what the scene looks like, on what was, are there any clues? What have the police reported? Things like that. And so she is, I guess we would call her like a crime scene journalist or a investigative crime scene journalist. I'm not sure what the actual legal title for that is. But our male main character is he lives in the shadows, but he is a tech genius. And we kind of understand a little bit about his character at the beginning because he is at a crime scene. A murder has taken place. He is at a crime scene and he is dismantling and taking hidden cameras from the crime scene and cleaning any evidence for the murderer. And so he is there cleaning or sweeping the crime scene so that there is no evidence left behind to incriminate the murderer. Well, as he is there doing this, his job, she appears, our female main character appears to report and to give um, her take on what is going on at this crime scene. So he has to hurry and hide so that he is not caught. And she has a tape recorder and she is recording her thoughts and her notes. And he is absolutely blown away by her. He is stunned by her thought process, by everything that she is seeing, and by all the notes that she is taking. And he is just stunned by her thought process and by the things that she is seeing and things that she is noting. And he is just immediately obsessed with her. And so this story unfolds where we find out, is part of a society, an underground society. Um, and I'm going to try not to give too many spoilers because I don't want to spoil this book for anybody, but he is part of a underground society called the Hemlock Society. And they insert themselves, or they come in where the law has failed. And so if the law cannot bring justice to those who have broken the law, then they step in and they will do their own investigation. And if they find that the perpetrator is guilty beyond a doubt, and the perpetrator is definitely done the crime, then they will come in and they will distribute justice, because if the law can't do it, then they will step in and they will do it. And sometimes that means death. And so our male main character, when it gets to that point, and death is what needs to happen, then he comes in as the tech person and he makes sure that technology wise that the society is protected. And it was just this. So, not, I mean, obviously he is obsessed with our female main character. He has tech, he has technology experience. And so, he uses that experience. He spies on her, saying that it's because he wants to make sure that she doesn't, you know, know too much, that she won't find them, that she won't expose them. But really, we know it's because he's obsessed with her and he's falling for her. And so there is that romance, there is that kind of obsessive element to the book. But it's also this fascinating look about vigilanteism. vigilanteism. Vigil. I don't even know what that word is. What is the verb of vigilante? I am a vigilante and I do vigilanteism. Anyway, whatever that is. Anyway, it's this fascinating look about when is the right time to take the law into your own hands. Is there a right time? Do do our do our morals allow us to take the law into our own hands when the law cannot step in and do what is right? Is there a time when we can turn to somebody else that will do it, that doesn't have the moral conscience that maybe we do? And so can we turn to somebody who doesn't have that moral compass, that doesn't quite point north, and allow them to seek justice on our behalf? Or is it is vigilanteism, that word is really going to piss me off, is it never right? Is it always right to leave it to the law, or are there flaws in our legal system? And how does that work with the victims of a crime and the closure that they need, and the emotional and the mental, how it destroys the victims and what they need, when the law can't help, when there is no justice. So it was really this very unexpected twist in this book, where I thought it was going to be just this very kind of surface level. He's obsessed. He, breaks into her apartment as a masked man and they fall in love, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I totally thought that I knew what this book was going to be. I'd already written the ending in my mind, and it turned out to be so much deeper than that. And it really kind of made me think about it a little bit, and it really kind of made me think, do, I wonder if we have a need for something like this. Do we have a need for these underground black markets, some sort of society somewhere where desperate people can go for justice? Anyway, it really kind of made me think a little bit. And so I really enjoyed that. It was a very unexpected surprise, and I really enjoyed this book. There is a second book in this series. It is a little bit more lighthearted. It's got a lot more humor in it, which I really enjoyed. I love witty banter. I love kind of that dry humor. So the second book of the series, it does follow along the same kind of deeper plot, where we're trying to find justice for victims, but it has a lot more kind of lighthearted humor, murder humor, if you will. Both books were excellent, but The X Marks the Stalker, the first book in this series, was very well written, very well done, and it really shocked me. And I was very glad that I read it. Okay, the last book we are going to talk about is another proof copy that I received, another ARC from an author that I had never heard of. But this is an author that is well established. She has written several books that I have not read, that I had never heard of, but she is an established author, and she does have several books that she's already written. And so this is not a situation, like our previous book, where the author is kind of trying to establish herself as an author. This is a little bit different. However, this is kind of a hidden gem. I don't see anybody talking about this book. And I read this last year and thought, this is a fantastic book. Why is nobody talking about this book? It's fantasy. It's got spice. It's got everything that everybody in book talk loves. How is nobody talking about this book? Plus, it's from an author that, from what I can see from her previous books, everybody really likes this author. Like I'm not understanding why nobody else is talking about this book. This book is Given by Elayna Gallea. I'm saying that wrong. I'm so sorry. Elayna Gallea. Ugh. I'm so sorry. I know I'm saying that wrong, and so I apologize to the author and to everyone else that I have terrible pronunciation. But this author, if you look her up on Amazon, she has written several books that have been extremely popular. Tethered is one that has been extremely popular with the masses, and yet I don't see anybody talking about Given. So let me set this book up for you. This book is high fantasy. It is set, I want to say, in kind of a medieval, but not, because again, we're talking about fantasy. So we're talking about world building. The world building is excellent in this. It kind of does give you a medieval vibe, though, in it. Our female main character is a younger girl, and she was born marked. She has known all of her life that because she is marked, she will be given, hence the name given, she will be given to the gods, to be a servant or to be given to them into their service for the rest of her life. And her best friend, who is also marked, they have spent their entire lives being trained and being together. They know that they are going to be part of a ceremony where they are given to the gods. And her best friend happens to have her ceremony first. And nobody is allowed into the ceremony of the giving to the gods. No family, no friends. It's closed off. Nobody is allowed to go in. Well, our female main character isn't having any of that. She's very independent. She's very stubborn. And she decides that she is going to attend this wonderful event and is going to see her best friend off to her service to the gods. And she is going to attend the ceremony in secret. And so she hides in the roof rafters as her friend is brought into the priestess to be given to the gods. And unfortunately, things go horribly wrong in this ceremony. And she realizes that everything that she has been told about being marked, everything that she has been told about being given, is a lie, and nothing is as it seems. So she, because her ceremony is coming up to be given, she flees. She takes her belongings and she flees. Well, the king of the kingdom, who is a horrible, horrible man, there is magic in this kingdom, and he, it is not in his best interest to have any marked out in the wild. They have to control the marked. And while society as a whole thinks that it's a blessing to be marked and given to the gods, the king behind the scenes is actually destroying all of the marked because it is a threat to his rule. And so he has what's known as hunters. And so a hunter is assigned to go and hunt our female main character so that she can be brought in and exterminated. And so this is their story. He is hunting her. She has fled into the wilds, and he is actually injured in his hunt for her. And she happens to find him, not knowing who he is. And she finds this injured man, doesn't know anything about him or what's going on. And so heals him and tries to nurse him back to health. And eventually he gets better and sees her and understands that she is marked and understands that she is the one that he is hunting. And because she has saved his life, he gives her a boon and says, "You have one day head start, and then I'm going to have to start hunting you." And anyway, so this is their epic journey, and they have a bunch of more interactions. They, of course, end up falling in love. This is a romantasy book, but the world building in this is fantastic. The romance, the tension, enemies to lovers is stellar in this. You really feel it. And even when the female main character makes the dumbest decisions, She is such a softie. Her heart is so tender, and she just wants to save everyone. She just wants to do the right thing for everyone, even to the detriment of her own safety and her own life. And even when she is making the most ridiculous decisions, and you're like, please don't do that. Please don't save that person. What are you doing? You're gonna get captured. You're still rooting for her, and you're still like, go girl. You and your sweet, tender heart. That's so sweet. You're gonna get captured by the king, but yes, you go, girl. I really loved it. This is an underrated book. This is a hidden gem. You should pick it up. It was absolutely beautiful. I have one caveat for you though. This is part of a series. This book ends on the most outrageous, absurd, ridiculous cliffhanger I have ever read in my life. I literally, after I got done reading this book, I dreamed of this book. I dreamed of the last minute after this cliffhanger because I had to have some sort of a closure of what happens next. So I dreamed it. I think about this book all the time. What happened next? Give me at least 30 more seconds. But no, that is the genius of this author. You need to read this book. It is a hidden gem. You will love it. You will enjoy it. It was amazing. It does it's going to hang you on a cliffhanger, and I'm really sorry about that, but the rest of it you're going to really enjoy. So, those were my very surprising, most shocking, crazy books that shocked me in the year 2025. I read a lot of books in 2025. I'm not going to tell you how many because it's always such a controversy out there in book talk of how many books people read in a year. So I'm not going to tell you, but I do read a lot of books, and I still think about these books. And I still, even now, as I think about these books, I want to read them again, even though I just read them. I look forward to the time when I get to read them again because they were amazing and they were great. I gave every single one of them 5 stars, and I absolutely loved them. So I encourage you to pick those books up. And if you enjoyed this book talk, book review, book content, then I have several other videos in my video content that you can go and look at. And until next time, bye.